college football all day. It's a Football Friday right here on The Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, yes, welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, JJ, of course, calling the very first playoff game of it's not the first playoff game, but it's our first 6A playoff game that they're calling over on the other signal. So if you want to go over and take a listen to, you know what? Don't do it. Stay listening to us. Don't do it. But it is available, of course, over on our 1280 signal. That's why we're serving you with both signals today with 97.5, and then, of course, 1280 AM. You can get that and dip in on the high school side of things for Game Night Live. Alex, Kirry, Mitch Harper, who is our BYU insider for KSLSports.com. Mitch and I do this First and 12 show over on KSL News Radio every Tuesday, and that show is Big 12 specific. So I'm going to have Mitch take off his BYU insider hat and go straight to us being the Big 12 insiders that we are. In fact, you actually have a Big 12 hat. You could probably physically put it on right now too, Mitch, which I was disappointed that they shorted you. The whole reason of sending you to Kansas City was for you to steal me another Big 12 hat, and I haven't been able to find them online at all. I mean, I feel absolutely – I do love that you've already got a hat, so get out of here, dude. So anyway, Mitch, welcome to the program, man.
Hey, happy to be on, Alex. Yeah, I was trying, man. I was trying to get you another hat, but Brett Yormark's New Era team had me on lock. They already had me down for one. They're like, this guy's already bringing it up in his weekly show, talking Big 12, talking about the New Era partnership. We knew this guy would be trying to get a boatload of hats.
Oh, my goodness. Well, so the Big 12 hat, we'll wear that. We'll technically wear it the rest of this segment here. I had something interesting I wanted to bring up, and that was – that from the Big 12 perspective, and because it's Football Friday, and because I love just like projecting into the future the possibilities here of what the college football playoff could bring to the Big 12 conference, I think most of the year, Mitch, we've been talking about the Big 12 conference not getting necessarily the respect that the other conferences get. When I say the other conferences, I really just mean the SEC and the Big Ten. However, I think there's also some consideration in there too, because I think Georgia Tech is making that run that I think a lot of people didn't expect them to make. There's going to be an ACC representative in there, and I think a lot of people assume it could be Georgia Tech, but the national pundits cannot turn that corner, I think, on two things. Letting the Big 12 and the ACC be more of the conversation than just the one teams that they're kind of allotted, and they're trying to pencil in extra teams from the Big Ten and the SEC. Have you seen that change at all over the next little bit as we're going to get into the first playoff rankings next Tuesday?
I've seen it a lot, and some outlets are even saying 5 SEC teams. Are you kidding me? Come on now. Like it's crazy that the Big 12, being a power league, that it feels like they're treated closer to a Group of 5 league than a power conference league. Mm-hmm. And it's just frustrating because I think, yes, it is crazy how this league, where you feel like, okay, Texas Tech has arrived, and they're just going to steamroll the season, and then they lose to Arizona State. This league always does that, and maybe they always stub their foot, and they can't have someone always just remain unbeaten, and they always beat up on each other. But, now it's the spin job is, the SEC doesn't have any elite teams this year. They've got depth, and we heard for years with the Big 12, and even going farther back, the Pac-12 days, that was always looked at as a bad thing. And so they can't have it both ways. And I think the Big 12 is worthy of being a league that has 2 playoff teams this season. And they really need, BYU, Texas Tech, Houston even, which is crazy to say, and maybe and Cincinnati to really push forward and be the conversation to go get those playoff bids.
So the Big 12 standings look like this right now. It's a mess, and I could only imagine. And by the way, it's a mess in a year that it was less of a mess at this point last year, but you're going to see some fireworks over the next few weeks. And so you mentioned the top teams right now. The top teams in the conference have either no losses, which is BYU and Cincinnati, or Houston and Texas Tech, who both have 1 loss apiece. And then after that, you have a slew of teams who have the 2 losses. And here's the thing that's interesting about the teams with the 2 losses. Utah is one of those teams. Utah is one of these teams that Joel Klatt from Fox Sports has winning out the rest of the way, which I could totally see that happening as well. Definitely. Why not? They could, and by the way, if BYU fans are out there, they probably you want Utah to beat Cincinnati this week. It makes things maybe a little bit easier for you down the path as well. And you have the tiebreak over Utah if you're BYU. But here's the thing, is that Texas Tech is banged up enough right now that with that one loss that they already had against Arizona State, Mitch, people are looking at him and they're looking at him a little bit sideways. Not Joel Klatt. He still has them winning out. He has BYU losing once, because if Texas Tech wins out, then one of those losses would be against Texas Tech. He has an 11-1 BYU versus a Texas Tech 11-1 team in the Big 12 championship game on December 6th. I know that's a distinct possibility, but he's dismissed wholly Cincinnati. I feel like he's like, nope, they're not happening. He's dismissed Houston all the way. Said, nope, that's not happening. And he keeps Utah kind of sticking around in the sense that they're not going to be a team that, sticks around and is a part of the Big 12 championship because Utah has lost to both BYU and Texas Tech. What he has them doing though is going that 10 wins, and then he has BYU losing to Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. And then here's where the stupidity happens. I say stupidity because it's just this hard. And it's not Joel Klatt being dumb. It's a guy guessing. And you could very well see this happen because why not? This is how historically these kinds of things happen. Here's what the write-up is, because his 10 is Oregon, his 11 is Notre Dame, and USF would be that team getting the G5 spot or the G6 spot or whatever it is that we call it now. So the projected teams that are just, we're doing a college basketball thing here. Georgia Tech would be 11-2 and would be the first team out. BYU would be 11-2, would be the next team out. Utah 10-2, they'd be the next team out. His argument with BYU at 11-2 is this, and Georgia Tech at 11-2 and not getting in is this. Here, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it because I haven't told you who it's going to replace, or who's not going to get the spot. So Notre Dame is in, according to Joel Klatt, in that last at-large spot with the 2 losses. Notre Dame would be riding the back of a 10-game win streak. Does this sound familiar in your head? We've been hearing this already.
There is not a chance this will happen. And here's why. Joel Klatt, I know. Look, Notre Dame's good. They're legit. I think they're a good team.
They're a 2-loss team already. They've been a 2-loss team. They started the season 0-2. But that's what those losses happen at the beginning, and they, for some reason, they love giving people that kind of a benefit of the doubt.
But I think in this scenario, he's wrong because the committee, as we learned last year with SMU, they value that 13th data point.
Right.
And BYU
Which
gets
is what?
And that's the conference championship game. And if they get that data point of the 13th game over Notre Dame, I think BYU would still get in over Notre Dame in that situation because that 13th game has to matter and it has to mean something. You can't just solely base it on quality losses. That is insane.
So BYU's 2 losses, by the way, would be against
a conference champ.
In this case, two versions of a number 7th ranked Texas Tech. You would have lost them twice if you're BYU. Yeah. Utah loses out on the tiebreak because of that tie. Notre Dame gets in because of and I love that you brought it up because it says in this scenario, Georgia Tech would have closed the season with 2 straight losses, and its best win would be against either Clemson or Duke. Fine, the ACC's kind of weak. BYU, meanwhile, would have lost to Texas Tech twice in the month in this scenario, which should have wins against Utah and Cincinnati, and would be 11-2. Texas Tech would be that team, and the argument that Notre Dame would be there is because he has BYU listed as a loss, is a conference championship appearance and loss is what it is. They're in that category. Notre Dame doesn't have a conference championship game and never will, and they won't want to ever have one because this is how they sneak in a lot of these different scenarios.
There is no way that they would put Notre Dame in over BYU. I know the brand's bias would be scary because Notre Dame has that brand and that clout, and they were in the national championship game last year. But in this scenario where BYU's 2 losses are to a team that would be in the top 7 of the playoff, there's no way. And to have one of those losses be an extra data point that Notre Dame can't have, I can't imagine that would would be the case.
Okay,
That would shock me.
Just from a standpoint of like eye test and again, we watch the Big 12 more than we do any other conference,
Sure.
and so it's hard to say. Give me a straightforward like. But it is difficult to see 3 or 4 teams from the SEC and the Big Ten. And, yeah, some arguments from Heather Dinich from ESPN. She's like, I think 5 teams, maybe even 6 you should consider. Yeah, but when you look at this, is the Big 12 good enough to have 2 teams into the college football playoff this year?
Yes, absolutely. The top end of this league is good enough to produce. And I honestly think, too, and we were talking about this on First and 12 earlier in the week, I really believe that if Utah won out and went 10-2 but still got left out of the championship game, they have to be in the at-large hunt because the 2 losses, assuming BYU gets to Arlington and Texas Tech gets to Arlington, that'd be your only 2 losses. I think that there'd have to be a debate, too, on Utah. Those 3 teams at the top, that highlights the strength and the depth of this league. And then Houston, too, who, again, even I'm sleeping on here when we talk about this. Houston might have the easiest path.
We barely think about them.
Houston's got West Virginia this week. That's probably a win if you want to play the schedule game. At UCF, TCU, at Baylor. That's pretty manageable for Houston in the month of November.
Yeah.
They could be the biggest wild card in this mix because of strength of schedule piece. So I think the Big 12 deserves to have 2 teams in the league. I know Commissioner Brett Yormark said a couple weeks ago at Kansas City at Basketball Media Days that when he brought up football that he believes this league definitely should get 2 bids. And remember, too, they had a new audit on the selection committee and how they select teams. And Yormark was involved in this, and the Big 12 the playoff chairman this year is a Big 12 representative in Mack Rhodes. I know that doesn't necessarily guarantee 2 bids, but you'd like to think that the Big 12 is going to get a little bit more respect this year with the playoff. If they don't, they better hope and pray that they get that 24-team playoff format to materialize, because this 12-team and 16-team 5+11 that they've thrown around for future years that they want, that's never going to work if it's in the hands of the committee.
Well, speaking of 5+11, the 5 that I'm looking at right now, it's actually just the 5 plus the other 6, or the other 7 rather. I'm looking at CBS Sports' projection of the college football playoff rankings and what bowls, all those sorts of things. Now they're guessing way into the future, obviously. Your 1 is Ohio State, your 2 is Alabama, your 3 is Indiana, your 4 is Texas A&M, according to this. Then it goes Georgia Tech would be hosting Memphis in the first round as a 5-12. Oregon would be hosting Vanderbilt. That's nice, out at Autzen Stadium. Now, interestingly enough, they put BYU as a 7 seed and champion of the Big 12, hosting at Lavelle Edwards Stadium on December 19th, Notre Dame, the 10 seed, which would be wild. I don't know if we've ever imagined or seen any of these others. So that's the projection that they have right now. And then 8-seeded Georgia hosting Ole Miss for a little SEC on SEC crime for that first round. Now, these are all just projections. The reality is that I think Texas Tech is still the team to beat, even though they have the 1 loss. I don't know why people dismiss Cincinnati. We're kind of in that camp sometimes. They have a difficult road to hoe, though. They're playing Utah this weekend. I think a lot of people look at the Utes at home in the dark and they go, no freaking way, Cincinnati. You have no idea what you're walking into. But we also have guessed wrong on some of these teams who've come in. And then you look at Houston. I have no idea what to think about those guys. You could have a Cincinnati and Houston Big 12 championship game, and all this is a moot point when we're talking about our local teams here, so maybe it doesn't matter.
That's such a great point. I mean, and I think this race, though, is compelling, and I think there's more quality teams at the top in the Big 12 this year, but someone's got to emerge as, a pretty clean record. I think you got to hope, if you're Brett Yormark in the Big 12, to maybe have an undefeated, BYU and a 1-loss team, or 2 1-loss teams in Arlington, to really have a case to get to those 2 teams into the playoff, because that we don't know for sure this year, but history has shown this league doesn't get the respect from the committee, and it's going to be a challenge. And that's why I think it's really, when you think long-term about the Big 12 and the future of the playoff, whatever the format ends up being, it's always dicey to me to put the playoff in the hands of the committee. I almost look at it and say, get the automatic bids, and if you can somehow get a 24-team field with 4 automatic bids for each league, Brett Yormark needs to be begging for that now, because that would be perfect for this situation. And honestly, Alex, I think in college football today, with how many teams are so good on any given week and can really compete on any given Saturday, I think there's a real argument that should be the format these days with how much parity there is in the sport.
Mitch, before I let you go here, Cincinnati coming to Utah tomorrow. Who wins that game up at Rice Eccles Stadium?
I've got Utah winning that game, and I think Evan Pryor, the running back for Cincinnati, being banged up is a real issue. But I think Utah, what they showed last week against Colorado, that was a beatdown.
Yep.
Colorado was coming off a win over a top 25 Iowa State team.
It's embarrassing.
That was a beatdown. I expect more of the same. I thought that was a real impressive win by Utah. And regardless of the situation at quarterback, I mean, Dampier not on the availability report. I think Utah's feeling really confident. They got depth at QB. That's something that, think back to last year where they didn't have any comfort at their quarterback situation. They know they've got two guys that they trust right now. That gives them a lot of peace of mind, and that defense was all over the field last week against Colorado. I'd expect more of the same with Cincinnati being shorthanded in their backfield this week.
All right, Mitch Harper. You can hear him, of course. He hosts Cougar Tracks on Saturdays with Kyle Ireland over on KSL News Radio. He's our BYU insider, but today putting on the Big 12 hat, literally, to be chatting with us about it today. Mitch, thanks for hanging out on Football Friday, man. We'll chat with you again.
Always happy to do it, Alex.
There you go. Mitch Harper. We'll take a break. More to go. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time.
All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. That music, of course, means we're going to get to our Jazz Daily. It's brought to you this hour by the good folks at the Trajan Wealth. Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. TrajanWealth.com. I want to remind you also on Tuesday, Hans and Scotty are going to be out at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3. Catch them out there, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Oh, I've got a winner here in front of me. We've got two winners. We've got Chandler Holt, of course, hosts Jazz Notes with Ben Anderson. And he's also one of the people who covers the Jazz extensively at KSL Sports, and he's also one of our digital producers, so we'll get to Chandler here. He's a winner already, but is ineligible of winning this next prize. Our keyword winner for the day, all day long, we've been asking for those keywords to be entered in to 57500. We've got them all, and I have a winner of the pair of tickets to see the Utah Utes and the Cincinnati Bearcats up at Rice Eccles Stadium tomorrow night. And that winner from Spanish Fork, Braden Rindlisbacher, is your winner. Congrats, Braden. Enjoy those tickets. I love this. I love the keyword game. It's fun. So, Braden, phenomenal job texting in the keywords all day. And Braden and a loved one or somebody he likes a lot is going to be able to see that game tomorrow up at Rice Eccles Stadium.
Where's the Martinellis?
Yeah. Well, Braden Rindlisbacher and his friend are going to be popping the Martinellis tomorrow. I'm assuming, if they partake. All right. Joining me on the program right now, it's our Jazz Notes portion of the program as we get you ready for a Jazz game night. 7 o'clock pregame right here on the KSL Sports Zone. 8 o'clock tip-off. Chandler Holt joins us right now. Chandler, what's going on, man?
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Oh, I'm hanging in there on a football Friday, but we're talking some Jazz basketball, and that's a good thing because this Jazz team has been fun to watch so far. Your estimation of Will Hardy's team in 2025, 2026 so far, just after 4 games.
You're absolutely right. They have been super fun to watch, and I will say we sort of predicted that this offense would have been fun, would have been fast. That was the first thing Ace Bailey really said about the team in his early interviews is like, we're going to be fast, and they have been. But sort of the shocker is their defense has been much better than I think anyone has expected through these first 4 games. Comes in, wins their first one big at home. Now they're 2-2, lost their first home game in the last game against the Trailblazers, but has been a lot of fun. I think Ace Bailey, sort of the name that shines out, sort of had his first breakout, if you want to call it that, in his last game. He's been on a minutes restriction, but made his first few jump shots in the last game. Absolutely. It's been a fun team to watch so far.
So the minutes restrictions, obviously something to do with the health that he had at the beginning of the season, which was some stomach bug or a flu or whatever. It took it out of him. Is the team said that he's basically kind of just getting it's almost getting a guy back to like just full playing shape again when you've got a sickness like that. And I think that's what we've been seeing with Ace, right?
Yes, absolutely. He was bedridden for 6 days. So it was leading up to the first game of the season.
Dang.
So not only was he not having any game prep, he wasn't on the court. So if just thinking about that, if you're in your bed for 6 days and you're going and playing an NBA basketball game, it's not going to go very well for you. And you saw that in the preseason. Of course, the scoring was awesome, but he was hustling. He was down there getting rebounds, and that just wasn't something you saw from him the first few games. Last game, he was on the glass. He looked confident with his jump shot, getting to his spots. And I think of every player who's played all 4 games, he has the least minutes per game. I would imagine as he sort of gets his legs back, he's going to enter that starting lineup and also surpass that at least 20 minutes a game mark.
So Walker Kessler is getting even better, and Lauri Markkanen is having as hot of a start as he's ever had in his entire career. And he's also got, obviously he's got an all-star season under his belt a couple of years ago. Is he back to that form, all-star form, Lauri? Not just what we're seeing in the point scoring, but it just seems like he's all over the court. And then now you've got all these other weapons that are a little bit younger. And what are your impressions so far of the 2 core guys that I think a lot of people are hanging their hat on with this Jazz team, Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler?
So I'll start with Walker Kessler because there was a little bit of that drama on media day where he said he was frustrated with his contract. But if you're tuned into it, you know that the Jazz want him to enter restricted free agency, not because they want him to leave, but because it's better on them financially. There is no doubt in my mind that Walker Kessler is going to stay with the Jazz, and that's most likely going to get proven after this season. But 17 points, 10 rebounds a game is what he's at right now, almost 4 blocks and steals together. That he's going to get paid. He's earning his money right now, which has been awesome. And I think through the first 3 games of the year, he didn't miss a single shot. He's been awesome. And then for Lauri, I think last year Lauri was holding back a little bit. His foot wasn't entirely on the gas. And then coming off of the Eurobasket summer, he has been fully unleashed. I think this is the best version of Lauri Markkanen we have ever seen. He's averaging 34 points a game right now, which is ridiculous. And I expect him to be pedal to the metal this entire year. I don't know if he'll average 34 points a game, but I think in his all-star year, he was right around 25. I wouldn't be surprised if he's maybe at 27 or something like that this year.
Chandler, what are the guys that are the new names that have been popping up for you? I think Walter Clayton Jr., the first night when they had the jersey exchange, he had a good enough preseason that people were like, I kind of like this dude out of Florida. And he obviously was a baller and got a national championship for his team. But, coming in as a guy who's 24, I think a lot of people overlook you because they're like, hey, if you played all 4 years in college, I don't know if you're that good. But Walter Clayton's been pretty good. Taylor Hendricks is doing the things I think that we were anticipating that we would have seen, and it's nice to see him after that injury. Who's been some of these newer guys that you've seen pop up in this early part of the season that you're like, that's a guy who could be on this roster for a long time?
I would say Walt Clayton absolutely is the first name that pops into my head for that. He has just been as consistent as you can be as a rookie point guard. It's sort of a thing in NBA history that rookie point guards always struggle because not only are you looking at new defenses, but you have better defensive players all around you. So trying to break apart the defense, which is usually the point guard's job, is much tougher. But those 4 years of college, which is sort of a thing that GMs and scouts might be like, maybe we should be wary of that. He's come in and he's been absolutely awesome. I think it's been Ben's take that at some point this year he's going to rise as the Jazz's starting point guard. Now, if Keontae George is playing as good as he has been, that's going to be a tough task. But I would say Walt Clayton is maybe as confident as anyone, of course, besides Ace Bailey, that, he's going to be on the Jazz in 4 or 5 years.
Chandler, another guy that, I've been watching a lot this year, and I've gotten pretty excited about. At the same time, I think people are a little trepidatious about how they feel about Keontae George, who I think has had a pretty decent year so far. And what have you seen improved in his game? I think Ben tweeted something out the other night. I was like, hey, the Keontae George of years past would have had this type of a night, a lot worse than he's been having. What has he changed in his game to where he's looked a lot better, he's a little bit more consistent, and he's not that guy who has been delivering or feeling like he probably needs to put more on his shoulders than he had to?
Yeah, Keontae has been awesome this year. I've always been high on Keontae George. This year specifically, I would say in years past, I feel like he had the I need to shoot mentality. Like, I haven't gotten a shot up in 5 possessions, so maybe I should get a look. Like, I should look to get something for myself. But I think at Keontae's ceiling, he would be a point guard, and maybe we're talking like a Jamal Murray, not necessarily a pass-first point guard, but he is a bit undersized for the 2 guard, so he would really thrive as a 1, and like 9.2 assists. It is only 4 games. I doubt he's going to stay above 9 for the entire season, but I would say just the maturity, the calmness when you're running the show, and not necessarily always need the guy that, I haven't shot in a while, let me get a shot up. And on top of that, I believe he's shooting over or around 65% inside the arc this year. A lot of times for Keontae in the past, it's been 3-pointers and then a floater or a layup or the occasional dunk. He's done a lot better at operating within the arc this year, which I think when you're getting your points, especially for a guy like Keontae within the offense, you're just going to be a lot more efficient. And I think efficiency was the main thing he was sort of lacking in years past.
Chandler Holt, you can read his byline at KSLSports.com. He's one of our digital contributors. He also covers the Jazz and hosts Jazz Notes, the podcast with Ben Anderson. Tonight at Phoenix, this Suns team is 1-4. One of those losses came in overtime. Shockingly, forcing that overtime late against that Jazz team that I thought had it wrapped up, but they gave up those 7 points in the last, 12 or 18 seconds or whatever it was. But they ended up getting the win. Phoenix feels like they should be better than they actually have been. So what do you estimate with this one tonight in Phoenix?
So it's kind of a tough even though you see guys like Yusuf Nurkic and Steve Mikhailuk, Larry Markkinen, even these vets playing, the Jazz are still one of the youngest teams in the NBA, and the Suns are not that. They only have a couple of young players who are in their rotation. So my point here is young players are unlikely to beat the same team twice in a row because those more experienced teams are better at not only making but executing on the changes they need to make coming off of that loss. And all time, the Jazz are 7-6 on Halloween night.
Oh,
so we'll
look
see
at
what happens. We'll see what happens. I don't think I'm not just writing it in the books already as a loss for the Jazz. I think it will be a great game. And also, that was Larry Markkinen's 51-point game, so clearly he was liking what he was seeing, licking his fingers at the Suns defense. So we will see. I am expecting in the last game, Booker had 34, but he struggled in the first half. I think he was shooting under 40% in the first half. I expected him to come out with sort of a vengeance in this game. I think it's going to be a fun game, and hopefully we see more than 15, 20 minutes for Ace Bailey. That's what I'm looking for.
All right. Chandler Holt, you can read him up there at KSLSports.com. Listen to Jazz Notes, the podcast. Chandler, appreciate it, man, as usual. Have a good Halloween night, man.
Awesome. Thank you. You as well.
There you go. Take a break. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner when we return. Best and worst. Is that next? Oh, yeah. Best and worst next. Stay here. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All college football all day. It's a Football Friday right here on the Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, welcome back to the show. Alex Annapolis, have you had a good Football Friday, bro?
It's been a fantastic Football Friday, man. Come on.
Good, right? I mean, for the one game we got to get ready for, I'm ready. I got this one dialed up, man. I've already figured it out. Utes by 10.5. All right? That's my pick. Best and worst brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. This happens periodically. I don't know if it's our attitude, maybe our producer Alex's attitude. We just seem to find a lot of the bads.
There's a lot of bad that happened over the course of the last 24 hours.
A lot of worsts. Not a lot of bests. Now, I will say that the best is Halloween night, you could have a Toronto Blue Jays World Series champion tonight if they get the win. And that would have totally flipped the script, by the way, on Dodgers Nation and that whole thing and Shohei Ohtani and all that. I guess we are all assuming that the Dodgers were going to win. I mean, JJ and I said, what, at max 2 games they were going to win? Fine. So the best is you may have. Although, if they win this one, did they go? It's a Game 7 after this then, right? Yeah. Okay. Force a Game 7. Force a Game 7, please. That's what we want.
Let's go Dodgers.
Yeah, I want a Game 7. That's what we want in a World Series. Game 7. And you can't have a Halloween champion, all right? But it is weird to have November that we're playing. Here are the worst stories of the day. Sam Levitt, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. It's official. He is going to be out the rest of the season. Season-ending surgery. That's a bummer because that's basically Arizona State, or tell me if I'm wrong, packing it up for the rest of the year.
It seems like it, which is kind of weird because there's still a 2-team loss. You never know what can happen. But
Jeff Sims suddenly becomes really, really good as a backup, as he's been no good so far?
No, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
So here's the real problem with that Arizona State team, and this is why they'll never be Big 12 champs again this year. They've given up 28 sacks this year. They give up 5.5 sacks a game. And you're supposed to be the best team in the conference? Never going to happen. You can't give up. They're dead last in the Power 4 conferences of giving up sacks. And there's some bad teams that are giving up sacks. So there you go. Arizona State, your season's over. So sorry. That's one of them.
Especially if you lose the names.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if you were one of those people who has YouTube TV and you like to watch your ESPN on it, so sorry. Disney, ABC, ESPN, contract dispute with YouTube right now. Can't watch those stations. So, I don't know. You probably are paying for it streaming somewhere else on accident. If you're like me, whoops. Forgot I had this one streaming over here. The Ravens reported an injury. They said it was a mistake. Oh, we reported it wrong about Lamar Jackson's availability. See, this is what's going to happen. You can't mess around in the NFL on the injury reports. And they reported that his practice status was different. The Ravens are not going to appeal the fine. They said it was a mistake. Clearly, we made an error regarding player injury reporting and cooperated transparently with the league's investigation from the moment that we knew. We accept the decision by the NFL. We violated the policy. We've taken the steps to ensure that it will not happen again. So they misreported on Lamar Jackson's status. By the way, they did exactly what we thought they were going to do, right? They blew him up last night. They blew up Tua.
It's good to have Lamar back.
It is good to have Lamar back. And on the night, how about 18 for 23? 4 of his 18 completions, touchdowns. No interceptions. Quarterback rating of 91.9. Or no, sure, that's his QB rating. His overall rating, 143.2.
I know you were having the conversation with JJ yesterday, I believe it was, about the 2-5 teams. If they can get healthy now and figure it out, I could see this Raven team sneaking in, man.
That conference or that division especially, they could sneak in and do some stuff there because that's a mess. All right, Napolis, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
It's been a good Friday.
Yes, we'll be back again. More on the corner. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.